The next option we'll talk about HSRP load sharing. Now, if we just go back to the HSRP concept, what I discussed, HSRP or VRRP, they don't support load balancing. Load balancing is not supported. What is the meaning of that? Which means any one gateway will be the active, whereas the other gateway will be a standby, which means only one gateway will be forwarding the traffic at one time. The same thing applicable for VRRP. Of course, the GLBP supports load balancing. We'll talk about that when we come to the GLBP. So let's say I want to stick to HSRP or VRRP, but at the same time, I want to do some kind of load sharing. Now, I'm not saying load balancing here. Typically, a similar kind of concept, what I can do is I can do load sharing. Now, load sharing is like we can still utilize both the gateways. Both the gateways can forward the traffic at the same time. That is something possible. How it is possible? By configuring multiple groups. Now, what I'm going to do is, like, take an example in my LAN. So let's take an example here. In my scenario, we got a LAN, local area network, and we got the users, and all the users belongs to one network because the HSRP runs for one network specifically. Because there will be a separate HSRP for each subnet. Let's take an example. We have 192.168.1. network. Okay. Now, as per this network, we have two gateways. The first gateway is the router 1 and another gateway is router 3. Okay. Now, what I want is I want to utilize both the gateways. I want to use 1.100 as well as 1.200. And I want both the gateways to be forwarding the traffic at the same time, which is not load balancing. We are doing load sharing here. Slightly different because the load balancing is done automatically. It does. Whereas the load sharing is something we'll decide manually how much load the gateway should carry. Okay. Now, how we are going to do that? The same thing. What we'll do is we'll configure two or more groups. Like what I'll do is I'll create one group. Let's say I'll just name it as a group, standby group number 12, or group 1, group 2. Simply, I'll give the name as group 1 and the group 2. So I'll create a group 1. And for that group 1, I'm going to say that the virtual IP will be 192.168.1.150, just like we did in the previous example. Okay. And I'm going to say that the router 1 will be the primary gateway, which is having the priority value of 120. And of course, the router 3 will be the secondary. I'm not writing that because, obviously the other one will be the secondary option. And this will be the virtual IP. And then I'll create another group on the same interface. So the same interface I'm using, okay, F0x0, or if you see my lab configuration, I'm using G0x0 interface. Okay. So typically the command comes on both the sides. We'll see the configuration in detail. Don't worry about that. I'm just writing some sample configurations on the sides. Okay. Now what I'll do, I'll create another group, the orange group. Let's say the blue and orange. Let's give the names as second group. The group 2, because I cannot use the same number. I have to use a different number, group 2. And I'll say the group ID will be 192.168.1.51 I can use. Let me use 160. I'll stick to the same numbers, what I'm using in my labs, 1.160. And I'm going to say that for this group, the router 3 will be having the better priority value, 120, which means the router 1 will be having 100, the default. Okay. So now there are two gateways we are configuring for the same network. Okay. So the network is one dot network. For the same network, now we have two gateways, not physical, the virtual gateways. Okay. Already physical gateways, there are 100 and 200. We're not using them in terms of gateway assigning, but in terms of physical, the 100 and 200 are there. In terms of gateways, we have two virtual gateways. One is 192.168.1.150, and another virtual gateway will be 192.168.1.160. So for the first group, router 1 is a primary gateway. The router 3 will take up the backup role. And for the 160, I'm going to reverse the roles. I'm going to say that 160, the router 3 will be the primary gateway. So now coming to the end host. Now, what about the end host? Now, there are two types of end host in this 192.168.1 network. There are some users which are using a static IPs, like maybe my servers or IT team, IT department, you know, those kind of people, or maybe managers, some high end. So there are two types of users in my LAN. There are some users who gets a static IPs, and most of the users we have a DHCP where the IP address will be dynamically configured. Okay, so like the end users like accounts, finance, marketing, sales, the departments and all. So now what I'll do is, because we have to define the gateway, I'm not going to say that 150 is a gateway, because I have to now load share and I have to give some users this gateway so that anyone using this gateway will be forwarding the traffic from the router 1, and anyone using 160 will be using this router 3. Okay, so in terms of the best way you can differentiate is, this is how I generally categorize, because practically it's not possible for you to divide that in the DHCP itself unless you have different DHCP servers. So what I'll do is, I'll say for all the static users, the default gateway will be, the IP address, how we assign. We have to give the IP address, subnet mask, the default gateway. So for all the static users, I'll say the default gateway is 192.168.1.150, which means automatically all the users will be routing the traffic from this side, which will ensure that all the users getting the static IP will be routed from the router 1. That is what the thing here. You can see all the users will be going from there. And for all the users, for the DHCP, on the DHCP, what I'll do is I'll configure the default gateway as 192.168.1.160, which will ensure that all the traffic going to the internet will be using this gateway as a primary. And of course, if the primary fails, it will switch over to the secondary. That is common. That's not the problem. Now, this way, what I'm doing is I'm doing something called load sharing. So even though by default HSRP or VRRP, they don't support the load balancing, but still you'll see these implementations where I'm trying to do some kind of load sharing, where we'll be configuring multiple groups for the same subnet. Now, again, you will see only two groups for each subnet, because at the end, if you're using HSRP, you will see only two groups, two gateways will be used. So there's no point in creating more than two groups. Okay. So what I'm trying to do here is, I want to do some kind of load sharing where both the gateways will be utilized, may not be equally, but still some traffic goes from the primary router 1 and some traffic goes from the router 3. And in case if any one gateway fails, then everything switches over to the secondary. That's fine. But I don't want the second gateway sitting idle, not forwarding any traffic. Now, this way I can purchase the bandwidth of high speeds on both the sides, like 50 Mbps, 50 Mbps like that, or 50 and 30 Mbps. And I can efficiently utilize both the links to forward the traffic onto the internet without much problem. So this is something what you will be configuring. We call it as a load sharing. So if we quickly come back again, back to the redundancy options, let's come back. HSRP with load sharing option. The same thing, it allows the network traffic to be distributed across the multiple routers, where I'm going to configure one group with a gateway of 150 and another group for the gateway of 160. Like I have said, like maybe for the static IPs, I'll use this gateway. For the DHCP users, I'll use this gateway. Now, if you're giving manually all the static IPs, then we can say, like, for some users this gateway, for some users this gateway. You can do that. It's all up to you. I'm not specifically saying you should differentiate based on static and DHCP, but that is a practical possible example. But still, you can configure two gateways. So we are creating two gateways, like the group 1, group 3. I think that's a practical example what I'm using, group 1, group 3, or group 1, group 2. It's up to you. So I'm just naming the group numbers based on the router numbers for easy identification. So where for the group 1, router 1 will be the active, and for the group 3, router 3 will be the active. Now the default gateways, like I said, I'll be assigning for some users like DHCP, I will use 150. For static, I'll use 160 or reverse it, whatever the way you want. And now what will happen? The traffic for the DHCP users will use the router 1, and traffic for the static IP users will use the router 3, or reverse whatever you, because when I explained, I reversed it. It's okay. Anyway, you can use. Now this way we can have the redundancy, because if the router 1 fails, like if something happens to the router 1, everything switch over from the router 3. Likewise, if the router 3 fails, it will switch over to the router 1. If both goes down, we cannot do anything. So there's no way you can forward, okay, at the same time. So this is something what we do here. Now, as I said, we'll be using multiple groups. The role distributions also we discussed, the roles. And also we'll also see the configuration as well, okay. So the main thing, the benefits, if you ask me like, okay, what is the benefit? If we quickly summarize, the main advantages, we are doing the redundancy, where we are trying to do load sharing. Redundancy is already there, but what we are, because redundancy means switching over the failover to the second one. At the same time, we are doing load sharing. If both the gateways are working, then there is no, we are just sharing some load. That is one of the main reason. And this way we can improvise the performance, because as both the gateways are forwarding the traffic, it will minimize the resource utilization. Resource utilization will minimize, because some traffic goes from here, some traffic goes from here. This way, this will reduce the load on the gateways, as well as the bandwidth consumption also will be minimized on one link, and also improvise the performance. So you will see, because when the traffic loads between them, this will provide a better performance. And also you can go with a higher scalable groups, especially with VLANs and other things, subnets. We can also do that. We'll see with VLANs in a next example. I'm not getting into that. Okay. And the verification command still remains the same. Okay. We'll come to the configuration as well.